as small as a seed.
You have heard the commandment that says you must not commit adultery. But I say anyone who even looks at a woman with lust has already committed adultery with her in his heart. So if your eye, even your good eye, causes you to lust, gouge it out and throw it away. It is better for you to lose one part of your body than for your whole body to be thrown into hell. And if your hand, even your stronger hand, causes you to sin, cut it off and throw it away. It is better for you to lose one part of your body than for your whole body to be thrown into hell. You have heard the law that says a man can divorce his wife by merely giving her a written notice of divorce. But I say that a man who divorces his wife, unless she's been unfaithful, causes her to commit adultery. And anyone who marries a divorced woman also commits adultery.
These passages of Scripture we've got to be able to read in context. And the passages we've just read are very, very controversial, and people taking them in isolation, just on the surface value of the reading, have often produced a lot of very rigid, tough things. So what we're looking at here are two key issues, and I'm going to call the first issue, because we've already discussed the principle of what adultery is, which is anything to do with creating impure and wrong levels of commitment in relationship. The fundamental value, the way I like to articulate it, is that what God is really interested in, or what Jesus is interested in here, says that He wants us to form relationships that we never ever use each other for our own gratification. You don't exist for me, I exist for you. Therefore, for me to form friendships or to see other people as objects whose purpose is to serve my pleasure in any way, I am adulterous. And God himself spoke to the nation of Israel through Jeremiah, and Jesus himself spoke of Israel as being wicked and adulterous. And he wasn't speaking to their sexual practices, he was speaking of the fact that they were wanting a relationship, but they were wanting a relationship so that they could use the one they were in relationship with to serve their needs. So the whole point about relationships in God are about giving, not about taking. The moment a relationship becomes a taking relationship, it has become adulterated, and that's the heart of adultery. That's the key issue. All right? Now, so that's where, and that's where, for example, the issue of pornography, why pornography is so horribly wrong. It's not because the body itself is wrong, it's that the provoking of lust through the inappropriate inflaming of the sexual appetites puts you where you become a user of other people. And even if that other person is asking for it, you still don't have the right to use them, because they're created in the image and likeness of God, and every one of us is accountable to God for the correct use of other people. And in fact, the correct use of other people is never to use them, right? They are to be people to whom we give, not that from which we receive. And if each of us has a giving heart, then our needs are met without us using other people to attain them. Right? Now that is, the issue there is essentially not sexual. Right? The issue is essentially not sexual, but it happens to be that it is in the sexual area of our lives that is most frequently or most obviously abused. All right? And that's why the issue has become associated with sex. Now, let's move along though, because Jesus then, almost in the same breath, moves into a passage that I would call temptation management. And the key issue as temptation management is kind of like, how far do I go to manage my temptations? And Jesus basically says, listen, you go as, you do whatever it takes. If you, he says, are always sinning with the eye, then it's better you cut your eyes out. If you sin with your hands, then cut your hands off. In other words, there are no excuses. And this is one of the key things that we've got to understand, is that in God, there are no excuses. God never excuses. There is never an excuse for abuse or sin. I can't find anywhere in the Bible where God excuses anything. In fact, Jesus says, I would have you perfect as my Father is perfect. God never excuses. He's going to get us there. That's what we've been saying, right? But the fact is that what he does when he looks at us, he says, listen, he says, do you want to be perfect as the Father is perfect? Do you want to be a person who loves like the Father loves? Do you want to be a person who's united with God in what this world is for? And what I'll do is I will put my spirit within you and I'll cause you to walk in my ways. Right? I'll transform your heart. I'll take out of you the heart of stone and give you a heart of flesh. Right? I'll give you my compassion and my love. I'll cause you, if you'll let me do this, to see people and see other people with such respect and such love. I'll make it so that you are incapable of using them. And I'll do whatever it takes to form your character around that purity and that grace.
When you're completely emptied of yourself, there's nowhere else to go, and you come back into that abiding state, which is the place that we need to be transformed.
I think we need to have the desire, a real passion and belief in the ability for God to make us perfect.